What if the little disposable vape in your pocket was designed to keep you coming back for thousands and thousands of puffs? Vaping is marketed as a cleaner, safer, even healthier way to get your whatever you get when you smoke without doing the smoke. We're going to be exploring that and a whole lot more right after this. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. I'm your co-host, Scott Patton, and joining us, as usual, health engineer Martin Patella. Hey, Martin, how are you doing today? Oh, you're muted.
I am muted. I'm doing fine, but I'm in a construction zone, so I'll be cutting my mic here, there, and everywhere because we are getting rid of carpets. And we should maybe talk about that next episode because the reason we're cutting our carpets is the air quality in our entire home.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, for sure. We'll make a note and talk about that. Hey, George, good to see you here with us. Um, And I wanted to kind of start off before we get into this whole thing about vaping is that life happens. So in Martin's case, they're ripping up carpet. And of course, the law of the universe is you do that only when Martin is about to go live. And in my case, a little bit different is 3 days ago, 4 days ago, 5 days ago, my mom fell at 10 o'clock at night. She's 93 years old. And at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, my sister goes to visit her, and my mom is still laying on the floor unconscious. So she's been in the hospital. She's had a good life, 93 years of age, but it's still something that, pulls on me. And so sometimes if you find my energy is a little low or whatever, I'm not a robot, and these things kind of happen, and it's part of life. And I think it's really important that we recognize that you have obstacles and challenges that come up all sorts of ways and times, and at different times and different ways. And part of life is just coping with them. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just get through the day, right? And sometimes they're there to help you grow in other ways, and take them as challenges. So when things happen, you can, and a week before that, there was a 7.4 earthquake in Colombia, and it devastated two major towns in the coffee growing region. Over 300 people died. At one point, 2,700 people were missing. And what that means when you're missing usually means you're at the bottom of a building, and they dug out quite a few people and saved them. But, so we all have challenges. And the question then is, do you rise to the challenge, or you just go, oh, poor me, awful things are happening? And sometimes both may be appropriate. And then you have to get on with your life. So we wanted to, we're always trying to be real on this show. And I thought, we don't want anybody thinking everything is roses 100% of the time. For Martin and I, we have our fair share of challenges. So with that, I want to start off by saying Life Enthusiast specializes in helping people escape the industrial food and drug trap by understanding your unique genetic blueprint, your metabolic type, how your body actually works. And it's different from the person beside you, even if that person beside you is your sister or your brother or your mom or your dad or your kids. And we look at how you can change chronic degenerative problems into stories of restoration and living pain-free. And I just want to emphasize, Martin, before we really get going, is that chronic problems are a massive problem that nobody talks about. And I keep saying, like, we have a fibromyalgia support and solutions group on Facebook that has over 190,000 people. And if that's not indication of, big problems, because that's just a small percentage of the people that have found us. So, um, let's dive into vaping. I'm going to bring up our info graphic, and there are hidden toxins and physiological reality going on when you do the vaping thing. And I guess let me start by saying um, I have seen, yeah, it's a massive number, George. Thank you. When I see someone vaping, they don't stop. Like when I see someone smoke, I mean, there are chain smokers that don't stop, but generally speaking, they puff and then 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours later, they have another cigarette. It's not this constant thing. But with the vaping, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, I can vape all day, as long as I've got the cartridge. And they're just constantly vaping. They don't vape until the cigarette, however long a cigarette takes to burn out. They vape forever, thinking that it's safe. So let's talk a little bit about toxins and physiological reality.
Yeah, let's just unpack it. The illusion that we're sold is that it's innocent, that it's just water vapor, and that it's all without a solvent. But the truth is that the way to dissolve the stuff that they are going to inhale into your lungs has to be in an aerosol, not water vapor. That's at the center of this slide. It shows you that it's actually a cocktail of stuff. For example,
Formaldehyde.
yeah, formaldehyde is one of them. One of the most famous solvents in it is the same thing that's used as a coolant in automobiles, antifreeze, right?
Yeah. And then
That's
you've got stuff that they put in weed killers.
Well, yeah, that's it could be. But anyway, it's definitely not innocent. It's definitely contaminated, and it's definitely not even as safe as cigarettes. Or maybe it's slightly different from cigarettes in that it's a different mix of things. There are not thousands of compounds in it, but the dozens that are in it are pretty awful.
Right. So one thing to remember as we're moving through this is 650 milligrams of pure nicotine, which is what
Yeah,
you get in a vape one container, is like 2 cartons or 2 packages of cigarettes. I'm not going to say two
yeah, no,
cartons.
let me explain. A typical cigarette contains about 2 milligrams of nicotine, of which about 1 milligram goes into the smoke in the room and 1 milligram ends up in you. So when you smoke one cigarette, you have about a milligram, give or take, of nicotine. So when you do that once an hour and you smoke 16 cigarettes of the 16 waking hours, that's about 16 milligrams in a day. Now, I don't know how much this they didn't tell us in the research we did what the typical hit is with the vape, but I think it's bigger.
Right.
Well, I mean, if you keep pulling on the cartridge, you can easily dose yourself with 20, 40, 50 milligrams of nicotine, which I would start with this. When you are a new smoker, one cigarette will make you sick. And
Right.
if you are new to nicotine and if you take an oral lozenge that has like 3 or 5 milligrams of it, within 5 minutes you'll be throwing up because the reaction is quite violent. You don't get to be a nicotine user without training
Well,
yourself to be one.
that's kind of an interesting thing, right? Like our body is totally rejecting it, and yet we're going to push through that rejection. Our body is going to adapt, and then we're going to take it. Whereas we should be saying, you know what? If you do something and it causes you to throw up, like that's your body's telling you like, it doesn't want it.
Well, and so it's not all black and white like that, Scott. Nicotine is a neuro stimulant, let's call it that. It's um, some people would call it toxin. There's a whole lot of literature that claims that nicotine is addictive, and yet the truth of it is that nicotine is not addictive. The addictive part in cigarettes is the pyrols, the stuff that they put in there to make it more fun.
Right.
And yet, you I would say not. It's not addiction, but once you become accustomed to it, you will actually cause this physiological impact that's on this slide that will train your receptors to be expecting that. Every time, well, you step into a room that's had some onions cooking, you smell the onions cooking.
Yeah.
15 minutes later, you have no idea.
Yeah, because you're used to it.
Well, your brain deletes it, right? Likewise with this, I mean, it's not identical, but when you take 1 milligram of nicotine, that's one thing. But once you start using it repeatedly, you will need to start using 2 and 4 and 8 and whatever.
Right,
To
because you get used to it.
To get the same effect.
Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on.
Okay.
I'll bring up the slide presentation that we have. So the illusion of vaping.
Yeah, the engineered solution. Yeah. You think that you're getting water vapor.
You're not.
But
so here's the difference between one vape and a bunch of cigarettes.
Yeah, so the main point is this, right? One cigarette delivers about 1 milligram, whereas here you're getting, by the size of it, about 1.5 milligram per puff, right? I'm dividing 650 by 400.
Yeah. Or your vape gives you 650 milligrams.
So a single puff of a vape machine gives you the equivalent of, I don't know how many puffs it takes you to drag a cigarette through. 20, 30 inhales, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely much more concentrated.
Yeah. And then it bypasses the body's defense systems.
Well, true enough. I mean, once you put something through the lungs, it goes directly into the blood barrier or into the blood, bypassing your natural barriers. But the fun thing with the hacking of the system is that they're pushing it not through natural pathways, but through this special chemical alteration, right?
Yeah. So when someone smokes, after a while, their throat gets sore. That's a normal, that's our respiratory system. It says, hey, we're rejecting these harsh chemicals in the cigarette, and we're irritating you to make you stop. And that's why, and of course, oftentimes people will cough and cough and cough, and they'll keep smoking. And, but most of us are, our body is such that, you've got an irritant, like stop what you're doing. But this bypasses that whole thing.
Well, they invented menthol cigarettes, which are way smoother in your throat. You can smoke way more using menthols.
Right.
Anyway, so this is a similar idea, but here they're using this acidic filter that turns the nicotine into a nicotine salt rather than the original.
Right.
So, yeah, it lets you smoke way higher amounts.
Or vape way higher amounts.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Just make sure everybody's clear. All right.
So you get a higher dose with a single shot. Yeah.
So let's talk about the difference between what water vapor is versus when you aerosol something to get it into your body.
Right. Well, water vapor is just that, right? Pure water. You think that this is actually in steam because you see the steam coming in and steam going out. And there definitely is water in it, but the water also has the vegetable glycerin and
solvents
and glycol and who knows what else, solvents. Yeah. So you're getting all kinds of droplets and particles and metals and who knows what else.
Yeah, and these particles, the last point on the impact, these particles are engineered small enough to bypass the airways' natural biological filters and slip directly into the lungs and the bloodstream.
Yeah, we know this from smoke damage. The smaller the particle, or actually there's industrial pollution, right? There are these filters, like 2.5 micron filters, and anything that's smaller than 2.5 micron gets past the defenses, gets into your lungs and gives you permanent damage. And these particles will be smaller. They will be exactly what you don't want to have in your lungs.
What a society we have, eh? Let's make a whole bunch of stuff, make a bunch of money, and have a whole bunch of people get sick and wonder why.
Mm, yeah,
And now, okay, so let's take a look at this aerosol droplet in a little more depth.
right. Yeah, so the first arrow solvent, either vegetable glycerin or something else that is the solvent. That's the payload vehicle in which this is stored.
Right. So the nicotine will be in the solvents.
Then there are the synthetic flavorings, which of course make it pleasant. That's like the menthol in the menthol cigarette. Here we get the flavor of popcorn or the flavor of cherries or flavor of bubble gum. Take a pick, whatever you want. We'll put that chemical. It's not natural stuff. It's all chemically made.
Right.
No,
Synthetic flavorings.
yeah, no sooner do we convince the FDA to ban the red dye out of children's cereals, we discovered that it's perfectly fine to put equally awful stuff into vapes.
Yeah. And then you have your heavy metals,
Right? Those are the contaminants that you didn't think you should be getting, but are. And that is,
nickel and cadmium.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
And then you have the heating byproducts.
Right. So when you burn stuff, there always is this. With cigarettes, you get pyrols. With this, you get this. What do they call it?
Formaldehyde and a
There's this
harsh weed killer.
acro something. I'm having a hard time hearing it.
Acrolein. Lean.
A harsh
Acrolein.
weed killer. Ha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when you heat chemicals, when you heat organic chemicals, you get transformations and changes that you may be wondering, well, what the heck happened here?
Right. So one of the things we talk about a fair bit as a sidebar, as you would say, Martin, is the importance of the gut and the digestive system. And we talk about it as a forest or flora and fauna. And when you have glyphosate and other things getting into your food, which are weed killers, plant killers, and you've got these microscopic plants in your digestive system, they get destroyed. And so I'm reading this about a harsh weed killer, and I'm wondering if I'm breathing in something that's a harsh weed killer, is that going to affect my digestive system, or is that just going to go into my blood, into my liver, and out?
I don't think out. It's going to go through the lungs into your blood, and the body will panic and deposit it in your fatty tissues. And in those fatty tissues, it's going to stay there and disrupt. The saw is coming on.
Yeah, there it is. Awesome. All right. So let's move on. The molecular imposter. So we have, this is one thing that I think Martin takes a little bit of, has a little difference of opinion from me, but we have the natural stuff that's going on, and it's a neurotransmitter that cleanly operates the nervous system. However, we have the synthetic nicotine.
Scott,
not much.
Scott, let me cut in on this. They are comparing the natural acetylcholine with nicotine, right? So there's this important distinction. The I don't know if I can talk over top of this.
We can hear you.
All right, well, I'll talk. So the receptor in your brainstem is called alpha-7 nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. The acetylcholine is the main neurotransmitter in your brain. And nicotine looks a lot like that, and it has affinity for that same receptor. So with nicotine, you can affect how you think. And a lot of smokers will tell you that after they smoke a little bit, they actually feel sharper. No question, they do. But they take small doses.
Right. So Scott went and took a large dose. He started with sore knees, got a patch, and he snipped off a little bit and he put it on the thigh, one thigh, and his knee felt a lot better. So then the next day got another little piece, put it on the other thigh, and that knee felt better. And they started walking around, and his knees feel really, really good. And it may have been the last little get over the hump, because my knees are awesome right now. I'm so happy. But in Scott's infinite wisdom, he thought, wow, my neck is kind of like not quite right. So I'm going to stick a nicotine patch on my shoulder, but I'm not going to take a little teeny weeny one like I did before. I'm going to take a like 3 times bigger one, stuck it on my shoulder, and I spent the next 2 days in bed thinking that I had died. It was like my brain was just turned upside down and put back in my head. I was just like, oh, imagine the worst flu you've ever had times 10.
What you did there, you put yourself into this acetylcholine overload, right? Like dopamine.
George is right. The body's trying to protect the user. I learned a big lesson.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about the relaxation paradox.
Well, so this
calms you down.
vasoconstriction that's caused by nicotine is a real thing, right? So it will raise your blood pressure. It will give you some symptoms that are a lot like fight or flight, stress reaction. So for any one of us who is cortisol sensitive, piling on cortisol is just like putting us into a I don't know, the mouth of a tiger. Right? Like
So we're ready to run.
Yeah, you're just being mauled by a wild animal and you're having a full stress response to that.
But that doesn't make me calm down.
No, it makes you sharper. It makes you fight or flight, ready to take the world on and be really sharp. Well, you sharpened yourself so well. A little bit goes a long way.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Is the saw too much?
No, it's not too. You're louder than the saw.
Okay.
So oftentimes, if you're
like, remember Dr. Brian Ardis when he talks about fixing inflammation, he says chop it up into 1 milligram doses and put that 1 milligram dose on the joint or near the joint.
On the muscle.
Yeah. Do not exceed 7 milligrams in a day.
Right. So we have this, it's okay. The sound is okay, Martin, and everybody understands. The pebble in the shoe, you get a pebble in your shoe when you're walking, there's very few things more irritating. So when you take this puff, you get this momentary relief, and then you get a short little puff. You take your shoe off for a few minutes and you're fine.
Yeah.
So it raises, like you said, it raises your baseline cortisol and withdrawal stress. The relaxation you feel is momentary relief from taking the pebble out just before putting it right back.
Right on. Yeah.
You're in a busy office.
There's the other thing. I thought that I had it fully turned off, but no, somebody chooses to call me.
So let's talk about downgrading the joy baseline.
Oh, yeah, of course. So nicotine, of course, is triggering the dopamine signal, which is great in a small dose. Now, if you take the equivalent of, an entire cigarette in a single puff, you're going to load yourself fairly heavily. So, as the slide says, the brain is interpreting it as a survival need. Well,
but what happens is you get desensitized to it, so you need more and more and more.
Well, that's the problem with it, right? Like when we say a smoker can only get so much out of a cigarette, a vapor gets way more, no limit. Like, right. Well, I've watched Tucker Carlson, who is a great promoter of nicotine, pop a 15 milligram lozenge and shove it in his mouth. So that 15 milligram probably will absorb into his body in the space of 1 or 2 hours. So that's
a loud saw.
That was a massive dose of saw. So
your overall mood flattens, the trap closes. You now require continuous and escalating hits of nicotine to reach a normal baseline mood. Yeah, the more I learn about it, the more I think it's something that people should have from time to time a little bit for different problems, like with my knees, but not something that they should be taking on
Yeah.
an ongoing
But you did
basis.
not need to repeat the stuff for the knees. The single dose actually made it better. And
That's
that's
right.
the
I mean, I
the
did it
time.
once, maybe twice. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I never did it again.
Yeah, it's a
So,
one time. You don't have to keep going.
but it gets sold as you need it every day. So, and if you're young, it gets worse because it's going to be wiring your child and teenagers' brains in ways that you really don't want that to happen. Because if they start vaping, they're basically forcibly training their brain and it hasn't finished developing. So this is one of the reasons why bodybuilders won't let their kids, lift huge weight, maybe okay, a little 5 pound or 2 pound weight he can play with, but they don't go into any of these regiments until they're well into their teens because the bones haven't solidified, the muscles need to be continued to develop and all the rest of it. And it's the same with your brain. It's not fully developed. Some people say your brain isn't fully developed till you're in your 20s. So this dopamine downregulation alters the neurological architecture and it can leave permanent changes on your long-term, how you think, the mechanical ability to learn, your retention. I think I must have had a lot of nicotine when I was a kid because my memory retention
No, Scott,
is
that's a
so
different
bad.
Scott, that's a different problem.
That's a different problem. Okay. And you covered the last one, John. I can't read it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Sustained focus. Yeah, sustained
So
focus.
here's the thing, right? The smoker smokes because he wants to feel sharp. Well,
Yeah.
the first time it only takes a wee bit. The second time it takes more. After a couple of years of smoking, it takes a whole lot. That's the that's the downregulation because if your body is getting steady supply of it, it will start downregulating the receptors because it's too much noise. That's just like over here. I'm having to cut the mic.
Right. Okay. So, and then there's cellular fallout that occurs.
Oh
And
yeah,
that,
well you're wrecking your lungs in the process, right? Like you're just piling the toxins into your lungs and you're wrecking the alveoli in the lungs, which is just stupid and crazy. It's
yeah.
you're damaging yourself.
Yeah. And you're deliberately damaging yourself, right? I mean, it's one thing to live in a town and it's got a manufacturing plant that puts crap in the air and you're going to have to breathe it. It's totally another thing when you're doing it to yourself. And that whole inflammatory state is something we're going to be talking about. Like, what can you do? You're vaping, you're wrecking your lungs in addition to, the other physiological problems. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. I love this, we talk about it all the time and it never gets old because you have to get this, everybody. You're an aquarium and you're in the aquarium and you're surrounded by liquids and water and everything
No,
else.
no.
And is it clean?
Scott, let me modify the metaphor. Your cells, individual cells, are like the fish in the aquarium that is the internal terrain that you are creating with your behavior. All the fluids in your body is that aquarium. So whatever you take in has to come out. If it doesn't come out, it's going to toxify the fish, your
Yeah.
cells.
Yeah. And we just said that um, thank you, Abominism. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Interesting topic today. Thank you. We said when you vape, it goes into the lungs and directly into the bloodstream. So it's now in the liquid in your body and your body's trying to deal with it. So it's basically like you have an aquarium with fish in it and you're throwing toxic sludge into the water, wondering like, why is my fish, not acting very good? And hopefully we've, talked enough about that metaphor. So you've got the engineered trap. Vaping is not a harmless habit. It is a highly engineered chemical and neurological machine designed to manufacture continuous withdrawal and demand and want you to have artificial relief. And you need to identify, the physiological signals that are getting broken and fix it. And that's something that we do for you at Life Enthusiast. You can go to life-enthusiast.com set an appointment with Martin. He'll give you 15 minutes of his time to talk about whatever's ailing you and the ways that you can do that naturally. And Martin, we have a few things that are really, oh, why did that not disappear? We have a few things that can really help people with their lungs. We just wanted to focus on the lungs when we were talking about this. And the first one is...
we wanted to talk about two products. One of them is called
Alvectine.
Alvectin. Alvectin got its name from alveoli, and it's a product that helps the alveoli to get rid of stuff, to push things that got too deep for the natural system to be able to eliminate, to push it out. This is awesome. Like I had a person who survived the Paradise, California fire, having inhaled a bunch of stuff. After the Alvectin, the constant hacking stopped. Like the first conversation we had, it was like like that. She was constantly bringing stuff up. Now she speaks like you and I.
Awesome. And the other one is Golden Eagle.
Yeah, that's lungs. That's a lungs tonic. Tibetan technology lungs tonic. You know what's interesting about eagles? They can fly at 10,000 feet. They soar way up high.
I didn't know it was that high.
Yeah, you know when an eagle wants to get rid of a crow that's attacking him?
That's what they do.
He just goes up and rises. The crow can only last maybe at 1,000 feet. After that, they are in too much altitude. The eagle goes above it.
Right.
That's how they escape the pests.
So this is really going to help your lungs.
Yeah, anyway, so this Golden Eagle allows you to breathe in high altitude. So if any one of you is contemplating travel in high mountains, like Tibet, Himalaya, Andes, Colorado life, anything above 5,000-6,000 feet, this will help.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, if you're going to Machu Picchu, get there.
Take a bottle with you.
Two great products.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we've come to the end of our time together. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and contributing. Really appreciate that. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell. Every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, we get on here. We love having you with us. We love doing it live. We love the interaction. If you have any questions and it happens to be not live, you're watching this later, we look at the comments, and if you've got anything you want us to talk about or a question, we'll deal with it in the next show. And
or make an appointment and follow up and subscribe. We really need the love. And the only way you can show us or help us stay in business is to keep pushing that subscribe button and share.
Yeah. Thank you, George, for the kind words. And I think one thing everybody needs to understand is all of your activities and actions for however many years you've been alive, some of the things that you've done, some of the things like your parents have done, like when you're a baby, they fed you, have got you to this point. And some of those things are wonderful, and some of those things have caused problems. But a problem is there to be solved. And if you've been going to the industrial medical factories to get your solution, and you've gotten worse and worse and worse, like the majority of the people in our fibromyalgia group, then it's time to do something different, because we all know that cliched saying about insanity. And we want you to stop being insane. So with that, thank you for joining us. This has been the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.
My body's a temple, but the walls are cracked. Stuck in the rubble of the years I've stacked. Stagnation in my veins like a river to the dust. Toxic whispers in the wind, but I gotta rebuild. I must.